Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Dillinger and I'm an NX application engineer here at Prolim. And today we'll be taking a look at NX feature templates. On the agenda, we'll have what is a feature template and converting a UDF to a feature template, creating a feature template, configuring the UI for a feature template, and utilizing a feature template. So let's start off with what is a feature template. Feature template in NX are predefined sets of parameters and specifications which allow users to design complex geometries more efficiently. These templates can be used for creating common features such as holes, pockets, fillets, chamfers, and even some more complex geometries. So let's take a look at this. Here we have a UDF of a cap screw. UDFs are very similar to feature templates, but they don't allow for as much personalization and customization. So Siemens has went ahead and added the ability to convert those UDFs into feature templates. You can do that by using the Convert User Defined Feature Definition utility right here. You can also get to this by going to Menu, Tools, Parts and Features, Feature Template, and then Convert User Defined Feature Definition. If we take a look into this UDF, we can see that it has all these features and expressions already added. Here we're going to take a look at maybe just converting one that you've already created, and later we'll take a look at actually creating one ourselves and creating the feature template as well. But we're going to just convert this one for now and take a look at that. So let's go ahead and do that. Tools, Parts and Features, Feature Templates, and then Convert User Defined Feature Definition. This will be very quick. It does it really well. And then done updating features for the part. We know that's now a feature template. You can see this here, and we can double click here and it'll pull us into this feature template author. We can get to this in the same spot, and Tools, Feature, Parts and Features, Feature Template, and then the feature template author. So let's go ahead and go in. And as you can see on this left-hand side, it's pulled along those features and those expressions that were included in the UDF. So now, when we go into the Configure User Interface, and here we can start to create the dialog box for our feature template. That's one of the really nice things about the feature templates instead of UDFs. It'll give you this option to start just customizing and personalizing all these things to how you like it and what makes sense to you. So right now we have this dialog box that it's already created using the expressions and features that we have, but we want to change this up a bit. So hole depth, it doesn't really need to be down here by itself. I'd like it to be up here in this group. So we can just grab it over here in the configure slide and we can add it right into collapsible group and I'll add it into there. And you can see that here. Now it's right here. So let's go in. You can see it has a title and you can go in and change that title. So I like hole depth. That's good. So I just want to add the units. So we'll add millimeters on the end of that and we'll say enter and it will update now again. And we can see that it's updated right there. So also this reference object, I don't really like it having a name like that. It's a little bit long and kind of confusing. So I'm just going to get rid of this portion. We'll keep it as planar placement face. That sounds pretty good. Same with this collapsible group. We don't really need that 2 on the end of it. We'll just keep it as counterbore hole. And then we can also add another collapsible group if we want to. So you can grab it from right here on the left side and drag that over and add it where you want. I want it under the main dialog, so it creates another one and it's not connected inside of this one, for instance. So I want to maybe make one for parameters. So I'll move this hole depth down here and we'll rename this to parameters. So we'll add everything that's customizable right here. Enter. And we'll also grab some of these other expressions to put in there. So hole diameter, yep, let's add that here too. You can grab that, drag it over, drop it down in, and we'll edit this too to have millimeters. Then enter, and let's add all these as well. Let's just drag and drop, or you can right click and say add. And then we can change these as well. So I don't really need the C in front. I'll take that out and I'm going to add millimeters too. And angle, we'll edit that one to use degrees. And we'll edit this bore depth to have millimeters as well. And everything will update in this parameters group, and everything looks good. So now let's go to the main dialog. Don't really like this name, so I'll just change it to just CapScript. We also have the settings down here, which you can expand, and it will allow for the option to explode. If you don't want that, you can just say false by right-clicking and then choosing false, or you can double-click and let it be true. In my case, let it be true. And everything looks good. We have all these dimensions in here, and all the collapsible groups have their names, and the main dialog is named. So I'm going to close out of this, and let's now select an image so we can make this feature template easily identifiable. I'm going to orient this in a way so that when we take that image, I'll actually be able to see what's happening here. And let's go over to select an image. So here we can either take an image or select one that you've maybe already created, but I'm going to take one right here. So you can choose region and allow you to define the region. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this and it'll show up right here. And then you can name it. I'll just name it screw underscore image. And then you can just say OK. And now that will show up in the embedded manager because this is embedded now in the file. So you can go back to the configure unit user interface and we can take this label control. And we can move this over here and I'll put it under the main dialog. And I want to move this up, so move these both below. And now we can go into that and we can maybe change this name. I'll change it to button. And here we have the file system. So we don't want it to be native, we want it to be embedded. So you can right click and change to embedded, or you can double click and it'll change it itself. And then you can do the same thing here. You can double click and it'll show all those embedded files. So you can choose the screw image and you can say OK. And now we have the screw image here. If this is too big for you, you can always just cancel. Let's create another one, maybe a little bit smaller. So it'll go based on how big the area you had. So if you zoom out a little bit, you can make it a little bit smaller. So let's do another one. Let's define the region a little bit smaller this time. Let's do screw image 2. And okay, then we can go back and let's change that picture. Screw image 2. And as you can see, it's now a smaller size, so it's not taking as much space on the screen. And overall, it looks just a little better. So you can also change this bitmap alignment and switch from default. You can change that to centered. So now this looks more uniform, a little bit better. And you can add some separators up here in this top group if you want to separate these. So as you can see, it'll add this line in between those. So let's go ahead and add those all and see how it looks. And so done adding those, and you look at them and maybe you don't like them, so you can just go up here and you can remove them now by right-clicking and saying remove. And yep. So everything else looks good. I think we're good to go. So you can close this and then you can go up and say finish. And then you can go ahead and just do a file save. So everything is now saved and it'll update. So now in our reuse library, if we go to the feature templates examples, it'll update it. Now it's a feature template, you can see. Let's take a look at using this. So let's go over to this base. It's just a block, but let's use this. Pull this in. You can either drag and drop, or you can right click and say insert, or you can double click. And as you can see, there's the dialog that we just created. Here we'll choose our planar placement face. So just choose the face you want to put the screw hole in, and then the target body as well. Now we can customize all of these parameters here. So I'm just going to do 35 maybe, and then so the hole diameter is 10, and change these up just a bit, not too much. And then just keep those the same, and then you also have the option to explode. We won't do that. And then you say OK. And then it'll also bring up the positioning. So let's just do a perpendicular position, and we can choose where we want to do it from. So we'll just do it from this edge block, and it'll show the distance it is away from that edge. And we can say OK. and then okay again. And it'll create that for us. And let's create another one on the top. So we'll drag and we can drop it and it'll do the same thing. We'll choose this face instead and then the same body. And then let's change this. Let's do 50. And we'll keep everything else the same and we'll say okay again. And let's do another perpendicular one. And from here, and we'll keep it the same. Maybe we'll change this to 80 instead. That'll update and it will move it. And then okay. There we go. And then let's take a look at this from a, and as you can see, it's created those holes very nicely. And you can also edit these by either double clicking and I'll open that and edit with rollback. But if you want to be able to see the feature template while you're editing it, you can always right click and then do edit with parameters. And these will also show up in the part navigator. So you can go over and you can maybe highlight that one. We want to edit this one. So you can right click here and edit with parameters as well. And let's change this so these are intersecting. Let's do it. And as you can see, it updates that nicely. So that's what it looks like when you convert a UDF to a feature template. Allows for a lot more customization in the dialog box and makes it easier and more user-friendly. So let's take a look at. So here I have a part file of a PCB standoff, and right now this is just a part file, and I want to turn it into a feature template. So I want this feature template to specifically populate in this folder right here in the reuse library. So you can right click and do new feature template right here. And then after we're done creating the feature template, it'll populate right in there for us. And so let's do that. Let's go in. And as you can see on this left side, the folders have not populated themselves like they did before when we converted the UDF to a feature template. We'll actually have to go in and choose those features, expressions, and whether we want the PMI as well. So you can do that right here. Just select a feature. Okay, so now that we're in here, we can choose all the features that we want to include in our feature template. So the ones I want to include are this all the way down here. This other stuff I don't really want to be editable in the dialog box when I use my feature template, so I'm not going to add that. I'm just going to leave that out. If you want to add the dependent PMI, you can as well. I'll add it. And as you can see, all that stuff has been added to these folders over here, and we can see our sketches are related to certain expressions, and all of these are related, and our expressions are related to features. So as we go, and then and here we have some other features up here that allow us to add some more expressions in PMI, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We have what we want. So we're going to go back and configure the user interface, and we're going to set this up the way we like again. And I'm going to move this, start by moving this up here with the datum coordinate system, because I don't really need those to be separate. And I'm going to change this to maybe target base. And change this to, it's a little bit like for position. And then we have another collapsible group here. I'll pull some of these expressions over now. So if we wanted to change the draft angle, for instance, we could add that, make it capable of that. The width of the fins on the PCB standoff and the size. And then the height as well. We can make all those editable. So go in here, take away that, just keep it like that. And then you can just edit these as well. Then, as we can see, everything updated in here. Looks pretty good. Let me add the option to explode. And now it's there. So everything looks good so far. Let's add a picture now. So we'll do the same thing we did last time. Let me position this so I can get a good view of everything. And select an image, and then we'll define a region. I'm gonna zoom out of it. And There we go. And let's name this one PCB underscore image. Okay. Go back in and configure user interface, and let's add this label control again. And let's move it up to the top. And then we can go in there and we can change this name to legend again. And then change this to embedded like we did before by double clicking or right clicking and changing, and then same thing with bitmap, you can go in. So we'll grab this PCB image, say okay, and now it's in there for us. Here we can change this bitmap alignment to be centered if we want to. Looks a little bit nicer. Now let's go over to the main dialog again, and let's rename this. We don't want this to be untitled, so let's give it PCB standoff. And then also the template name, we're going to want to change that too. So we'll just change that to PCB standoff FT for feature template. As you can see, that's being saved in the template location that we wanted it to in the beginning. This is giving us that the part file name already exists. So we'll change this to we'll change it to actual feature template instead. And there you go. So now we're not going to get that notice. And then let's go ahead and change these as well, these names. Let's change this to maybe orientation. And that'll update right there. And then let's change this class group maybe to parameters. And then enter. And let's take a look at everything. Looks good. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Let's use the feature template. And we can go ahead and say finish. And as you can see right here, the PCB standoff feature template has been added. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So let's try it on this base right here. And you can drag and drop it out like we've done before. And as you can see, the dialog box that we just created is showing up and it looks good. So we'll choose the coordinate system that we want, and then also the target base, and set the parameters we want. I'll just keep those normal for right now. We're not going to explode, but let's say apply. As we can see, that added that very nicely. It goes down to the base and adds very well. Let's take a look at another one. And then target base and apply. Let's do the rest of these as well. And there we go. As you can see, it reaches down to that base for each one. Then if you did want to go in and edit these, you can do the same thing as we did before, and you can right-click, edit with parameters. And let's try exploding one of these. You can go in and you can press explode and then OK. And as you can see, it'll, in the part navigator, it'll even show that this has been split into its individual features. And you can go in and you can edit this sketch, or you can edit the extrusions, or whatever you may need to do. And it's not going to do it to the other ones unless you explode those ones as well. It'll just do that individual one. But yep. And lastly here, I want to take a look at one more feature template. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to open up this part file so we can test the feature template I want to look at on this. And the feature template I want to look at is right here. So let's open this up real quick. You can right click and you can say open, and it'll open up that for you. And then as you can see, this feature template was created with a bounding body and some shadow curves to project the 2D sketches of a 3D model. And if you ever wanted to do this, you would have to go in and create these yourself on the 3D model that you already have, or you could just create a feature template and make it really easy. So here, let's go over to our test part, and let's go over to our reuse library, and let's pull this feature template out. Let's use it. And it'll have us just select the body. So I'll select the body, and I'll have us offset if I want to offset the planes, and I'll just choose 30, give us some space so we can see both. And then I'll just say okay. And it'll think for a second and apply this. And as you can see, it's applying those projections, and it's smart enough to look at the 3D body and make the projections itself so it can update to whatever 3D model it needs to look at. That concludes our NX Tech Talk on feature templates. I hope you enjoyed, and